through a full gut, but and it's a single family. We not adding any additions or doing anything that will require the digging deeper permit. That's segment 3 and 4.
Okay.
We're just doing a walkthrough. So explain to the listeners kind of what a walkthrough permit is, some of the different types, and we'll just treat it like Q&A style. Because I got a list of questions for you, because you're the expert on this.
Okay,
more so than me.
So a walkthrough permit is essentially when you go in there with your permit application, a set of building plans that shows how you're going to change a house or property, because you may be able to do it for commercial too, with its current footprint, the interior of it, for the most part. There may be some exterior changes, but they'll be minute. Maybe the roof, maybe the windows, and maybe painting some things. Okay. Maybe adding some handrails, some safety measures, or some appeal type things. But
some pavers
really, or some. Right. So nothing really structural, no real architect, nothing that really requires a professional to design. Something because it's actually called the homeowner center, believe it or not. It's really for homeowners to come down and get their permits. Right. But as businesses, you can do the same thing when you're not doing anything with a very large scope.
Okay. So what types of, so even if I'm redoing all the electric, redoing all the plumbing, and I am gonna add a bathroom or 2, and I'm redo all my floors, redo all my kitchens and bathrooms, etc., I can go to the homeowner center?
So yeah, it depends. So the bathroom or 2 is different. If you're adding a bathroom or 2, if your current water service can support adding those bathrooms, then you're fine. Okay. If it can't, then you got to go another leg, and that'll be in probably segment 3. Okay. But
how would I know, like, if my water service can support it? Is there a way as a starting out investor to check that?
Yeah, actually, if you go to DC Water's website, it's like wasa.com or dcwasa.com. It might be dcwater.com. They have like a fixture spreadsheet where you list the number of different water fixtures you have in your house, and after you sum it all up, it'll tell you the size water line that you need. Okay.
Is there a way for me to check the water line that I currently have?
Yeah. So if you can understand it, if you can find your water meter in your yard, you can pop the top off and you can look at the size. It'll have it on there. If it's hard for you to see, you can always call DC Water and they'll tell you.
Oh, okay. You just give them the address.
Yep.
And they'll tell you what's currently there.
Yep.
Gotcha. All right. So let's say we're not changing the water service. We're good to go. Okay. So that's going to be a walkthrough. So you said you walk through with like a set of plans. Do I need professionals for those plans, or can I?
100%. They need to have an architectural and maybe structural engineer stamp on, depending if you have any structural changes.
Okay. So if my water service supports the bathrooms, do I need like a plumber or somebody to do those plans for the bathroom?
No.
How does that?
No, because for a walkthrough permit, the scope is so small, the city allows an architect to do that plumbing and electrical design without the oversight of a plumbing or electrical engineer.
Okay. So I get these plans done and I walk them through. I'm a small investor, so I'm doing this myself. Getting my feet wet, right? Yep. So I go down there and I go to the homeowner center. I'm sitting with somebody, and they will ask me questions. They'll just review and stamp, or what's like that process like?
So you go to each, we'll call them designations or review boards, have like their own desk. So first thing you go to the application piece, and they make sure your application is filled. That's what is that?
Intake.
That's intake.
Okay.
So they'll go in, they'll look, make sure your application is filled out right, and make sure your scope matches exactly what you have in your plans. Okay. After that, I believe the first desk is structural. Okay. Because that's the heaviest one. So they want to see if there are any structural changes, and if so, that everything is documented there, and that the structural changes are minute. Because if they're excessive, you need to go to the fourth segment way, which we'll talk to later. Okay. After structural, I believe you go to mechanical. I believe
that's
the
for
next
like my furnace and
that's for your HVAC, your HVAC. Yep. And then make sure that you got the proper duct work, the proper size duct work, the proper amount of intake air, the air blowing out in the house, and the right size units and things of that nature, and that every room is heated or cooled properly. After that, then I believe you go to electrical. And electrical makes sure that you have all the safety measures for electrical as far as GFIs, arc faults, and those are the two different types of outlets that make sure that the breaker is actually in the outlet versus in your panel.
Right.
So that if something overheats or gets overloaded, it'll turn the outlet off instead of having to go all the way to your fuse panel
Right.
and turn it off there. So electrical, make sure you have all that, the right amount of lights, the right amount of switches for each set of lights in each room, and things of that nature.
All right. And so electrical is usually, so I know in the upcoming segments, we add some other disciplines like zoning and,
Right.
Well,
and so
like
it's funny you
Is there
said
zoning in the walkthrough?
So we still got plumbing. Zoning, normally just make sure what you're doing is within your footprint. If you're within your footprint, zoning leaves you alone. Because that's when you really worry about zoning. If you're increasing size, if you're increasing the load, that's when structural and zoning really pay a lot of attention to you. Then you have Department of Energy. They'll look at your walkthrough a little bit. DC DOE, not the federal DOE, just DC Department of Energy, just DDOE, make sure that you are doing stormwater drainage as well as you insulating properly. So they're going to look at your plans to make sure if you have a sump pump or something like that that is ejecting at the right place, and if you have insulation, your insulation is at the right values on each level of the property.
But do you deal with them on walkthroughs?
You do, but it's going to be still based on scope. Determines
okay.
how heavy they review.
They scrutinize.
They might look at, say, okay, when you do intake, they may say, you're going to skip DOEE because all you need is insulation, and somebody else is going to check that. The plumbing section is going to check that.
Okay.
If you don't have the right insulation, your plumbing lines will freeze.
Okay.
So some areas will cross over because of just what needs to happen in order for the house to be built properly anyway.
All right. So is it fair to say that this whole process, if you are working with a competent architect and structural engineer, that once those plans are done, I can walk through and get that permit in the same day?
Yes, and I wouldn't even say it's always just the level of competence of the architect or engineer. Let's say within a week.
Okay.
Because depending on who's doing your review at each desk, it's going to be subject to their opinion. Like they don't all work, each reviewer doesn't work with the same set of facts.
Okay.
Like they don't grade you based on, a set of rules. They all grade on a curve.
Okay.
And the curve is based on what they determine. So because of that, you may go one day and somebody doesn't have an issue with it, and the next day somebody else will. So you never know, and it might just be a clerical error that somebody may have missed. They may not have put the right name of the street or the right name of the owner, which make you have to go back and make a change. Then when you make that change, you go to another desk, and they're gonna say, well, we see issues with this other stuff.
Right.
So within a week, as long as you have an expediter who's actually walking the plans through for you, as long as they have time to continuously go back, then you should be able to have it within a week or so.
Okay. And then the process from there is I get all of it stamped off.
Yep.
Right.
By the city.
Are they literally stamping it, like with a stamp, like right in front
Yeah,
of
if you're doing a walkthrough, they'll do a physical stamp. Yep.
Okay.
At issuance, they'll do a physical stamp and stamp it, and they give you an invoice, and then you go pay that invoice.
You pay the invoice, and then you get your permit.
And you get your permit in your hand.
Right there. And then you go make copies, put the
Yeah.
plans on site.
Yep.
So with a typical...
Scan them in. Make sure you scan them in. That's the one step a lot of people miss. Soon as you get permitted, get a copy of your building permit and a copy of your permitted plans scanned
plans,
in.
yeah.
Stamped plans, stamped by your architect, your engineer, and the city. Scanned in, save them on your Google Drive, on Dropbox, your computer, what have you, because you're gonna need them.